Good evening, and welcome to the Julius Salisbury Hour with me, Julius Salisbury. First, as always, let me remind you that it is our duty to build the biggest team that we can. The bigger the family, the bigger the team. I know many of us are concerned by the shrinking population of the territories, and I won't lie to you, the worst is yet to come. A crisis unlike any we've faced is almost upon us, unless we all come together as a community to rebuild. That's why today I am announcing the advance baby bonus. The team will actually pay you to have children. That's right. For every child born to your family, we will give you cold, hard cash. Loads of it. So please, try again. For all of us. But now, in Culture Corner with Megan Wolfe, a band who embody family values, it's the Conceivers with their #1 hit, All Night Long. Good evening and welcome to the Julius Salisbury Hour with me, Julius Salisbury. Huge news today as I can confirm that yes, the rumours are true. We are simplifying our territory into one smaller sovereign nation. The military of former Territory 4 continue to carry out brutal attacks on our peace bearers in T2 and T5. Meanwhile, a small rebel faction are attempting to claim a significant part of Territory 6 and 7. We have therefore made the decision to fortify our community by consolidating our team within the borders of Territory 1. A glorious day for the future of the team, if for no other reason than we can drop the bloody numbers. Now, today I'm going to be learning to cha-cha with a chihuahua.
But our top story tonight, an historic election win for Advance today as they are re-elected in a landslide victory. Prime Minister Katie Brightman looked triumphant as she thanked a record number of voters for returning her to office for a third term. Approval ratings are through the roof for the politician, who initially ran on a ticket of universal basic income and free education, and who was responsible for the peaceful transition of power back to the now independent former territories. During the campaign, she's promised to instigate a 4-day working week and to make the climate emergency a #1 priority. Speaking today, Ms Brightman called the result a triumph for democracy and for us all. Later tonight, our political editor Robin Short will be interviewing Portia Hamilton-Mann about the donor scandal that rocked the party.
Now, I hope you've all got a tissue handy because we have some very sad news. Our very own Jeremy Donaldson sadly passed away last night during his treatment.
Our teammates over in the Department of Betterment have promised us that they are thoroughly investigating what happened and if any more could have been done to avoid this tragic loss.
Jeremy, you'll be sorely missed.
But on a brighter note, let's not forget, once again, birth numbers are absolutely through the roof today.
That's right. It really seems that thanks to the hard work of so many of you, we have finally turned a corner.
That's right, Patrick. And with the announcement from the Independent Sterility Advisory Board that the population has actually begun growing, I'd say there's plenty of things to be cheerful about. Wouldn't you, Megan?
Yes.
That's right. Tonight on the Couch of Chat, we're discussing last weekend's Cat Football Championship. But we have got someone very special joining us. Fresh from Betterment, please put your hands together for Jeremy Donaldson!
Jeremy Donaldson!
Jeremy, it's so good to see you.
Hey!
Welcome.
So, what's it like to be back, Jeremy?
It's so cold, Julia. So Really soaker.
Do you think you could give our topic tonight a bit of the old Donaldson spin?
Our headlines tonight. They think it's all over. It is meow.
Good evening, I'm Patrick Bannon and this is your Daily News Bulletin. Our top stories tonight. Protesters filled the streets outside the High Court today as the high-profile trial of former Prime Minister Julia Salisbury began its opening arguments. If found guilty, Salisbury is facing multiple life sentences for charges including conspiracy to commit murder, war crimes and even genocide for her role in the events of so-called Liberation Night. Meanwhile, with the restoration of elections just weeks away, voters across the country look ahead to new leadership, or possibly old leadership, as the front-runner in the polls by some margin now is former Prime Minister Jacob Hamilton-Mann, who crossed the floor to head up the Disrupt Party. Stock markets surged in value this morning as those polling results were announced. And later, I'll be doing an in-depth look at your friend and mine. It's the calculator. Good evening, I'm Patrick Bannon and this is your Daily News Bulletin. Our top stories tonight. Former Prime Minister Julia Salisbury took to the witness stand on the first day of her high-profile trial. The disgraced politician faces charges of conspiracy to commit murder, human rights violations and war crimes in relation to the events of so-called Liberation Night. If found guilty, she faces life imprisonment. Meanwhile, as the first election in nearly 8 years are just weeks away, Advance announced their new leader will be respected economist Katie Brightman. As Brightman pulled ahead in the polls today, the New Look Advance party vowed to restore territorial independence and to embody sensible, sensitive leadership and accountability. And later tonight, I'll be asking a hat maker what's his favourite hat and why.
Welcome all the boys and girls and everybody else as well to Frankie Fun's Wacky Fun House of Wax.
Hey again! I'm Frankie Fun, and this is the Wacky Fun House of Wax! But where's Doofnut? Let's call for him. Doofnut! Hey, there he is. Are we ready for wacky, zany goofs galore? Yes. I can't hear you, Doofnut.
Yes, I'm ready.
That's better. Now then. Whoa! It's the bonk alarm!
This is Megan Wolfe broadcasting across the frequencies. Clashes worsened today as violence between the North Capital Commune and the Riverside camp raged into the night yet again. The power has been out in most of the city for over 3 weeks at this time. I'd caution anyone who is still receiving this broadcast to avoid Trawler Street, where a violent group have taken over the former CCO headquarters and are said to be extremely hostile to outsiders. Meanwhile, the refugee encampments surrounding the ports have steadily grown in size as the ongoing fuel shortage continues to prevent ships from departing. We've also received word that the Borden clan of former East Grinchley are particularly active at night, raiding smaller settlements, so try to avoid that area if you can. Following the declaration of a state of emergency, General Masters, who has granted himself extraordinary powers, insists they will only last 6 months. It is believed that political leaders are still being held under house arrest by the military on charges of election rigging, though the General is yet to produce any evidence to support this claim. As clashes between protesters and troops continue in Western Square this evening, I want to once again urge our viewers to stay safe as soldiers begin to patrol our streets, enforcing a curfew. Since her landslide re-election just 6 months ago, Prime Minister Julia Salisbury has already used her powerful new mandate to deliver on several of her key campaign promises. With the application of the former nation of Mulvania approved by the COT yesterday, Territory 34 became the second new territory in as many months. The Prime Minister has assured the international community that the COT hopes to process the backlog of prospective member nations by the end of the year. Next tonight, punk rock bell ringers have been causing a stir. Gripped by election fever as experts predict record turnouts when the polls open for the first time in nearly 8 years tomorrow. But although the race is nearly over, it's far from decided, as opinion polls suggest that no party will claim that all-important overall majority. While the almost inevitable coalition will no doubt be a disappointment to some, could it be some much-needed moderation after years of division? I'll be asking political analyst Lisa Andrews for her insights before Robin comes to us live from a polling station in the capital. That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News. And although this is our last broadcast here on One, we'd like to thank Disrupt's leadership for this chance to say a fond farewell to you, our loyal viewers. Disrupt TV will broadcast its first programming tomorrow with a documentary called Benefit Scroungers and the Undeserving Poor, followed by The Kyle Springle Show, where a lie detector reveals a man who married his sister's brother's niece's uncle, before closing out the night with One Nation News Max, where Chet Blaze will be asking, how many guns is enough? Well, all that remains to say is thank you from all of us here at the National Nightly News and Channel 1. It's been an honour to inform and entertain you over the last 40 years. Thank you for letting us into your homes one last time. I'm Megan Wolfe. Good night and good luck.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Johnson.
And I'm Megan Wolfe. Our main stories tonight.
The votes are in, and it's a decisive win for Accord. The new Centrist party snatched victory from under the noses of the mainstream parties.
Incoming Prime Minister Fatima Chowdhury called Accord's win proof that the major parties had lost the trust of the nation and signalled the end of extremist politics.
Neither Advance nor Disrupt, who failed to garner even 10% of the vote between them, have released a statement.
Later, we'll be looking in detail at the election results across the nation before Jeremy brings us a report on the recent unrest in Valdez.
That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News.